And we are live. Yes, sorry. Sorry, everyone. We are live here at LTV. Today is Monday, August 1st, and I'm Matt Lownes, joined, of course, by the East Hampton Village Mayor, Jerry Larsen, for Ask the Mayor. You can call in, as always. Jerry, how you doing?
We're doing good, Matt. Doing really well.
Yeah,
I can't believe it's August 1st already. 5 weeks of summer left. It's amazing.
I didn't know until I woke up this morning, I'll be honest. I mean, I have a calendar and everything. We have a work calendar. I know I should have known, but I woke up and I did not realize it was August 1st. That's how it is every summer. How was your weekend?
It was good. Really busy.
Yeah.
It's busy out here. A lot going on. I mean, we have a lot of events. We had a great art event in the park this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And, of course, always on Friday we have the farmers market. So It was a busy weekend. Restaurants were busy, which was nice to see. The streets are really busy. It's good for the merchants. It's good for everybody.
Yeah. And we finally got some rain today, which was really important, as we just talked about the brush fires on Ask the Supervisor. But let's get into the village, of course. Let's talk about the national grid issue that occurred. Basically what happened was last week, for a portion of the day, it was closed off on Rudershaw parking lot behind Main Street last Friday. And PSG said it was the National Grid's fault, who then apologized, but there still seems to be some confusion in the public. Can you just explain the situation for our viewers so that we can kind of put this in the past?
Yeah, so basically the utility companies have right-of-ways on state roads, on village roads. The issue that I had was that, and originally I have to apologize, I thought it was PSE&G. That's what I was told originally. And then it turned out it was National Grid. So apologies to PSE&G. As I was driving down Main Street around 11 o'clock, I noticed that we have two entrances to the Rudershaw parking lot.
Yep.
And one off of Main Street, one off of Newtown. The one off of Main Street was closed, and they were digging up the road on a Friday in July, in the middle of the farmers market and all the other activities that are going on. So I called our highway superintendent, he called National Grid, and they shut down and moved on. So it was just, it's unacceptable to close any of our roads intentionally in the middle of summer. So that kind of ticked me off. And, well, we got it resolved. And they apologized, and now they're making sure they check with us before they do any of the road work on any of our roads, which should always be done. So
yeah, I mean, that was the part that I think caused a lot of confusion as to why, in the first place, it wasn't communicated properly.
Right.
Especially on a Friday of all days, like you said.
Right. Well, I think what happens is that, you know, it wasn't National Grid per se doing the work. It was a subcontractor of National Grid. So, you know, people don't realize what they're getting into when they come out here, and not realizing that Friday is one of our busiest days, and they shouldn't be shutting down one of our only entrances to the parking lot.
Yeah. No, you're right. I want to move on to a bigger topic as far as long-term goes. The East Hampton Village has chosen a long-term parking lot off of Gingerbread Lane to become the location of the village's wastewater treatment facility in the future, correct?
That is correct.
And the $24 million system, $24 million, apologies, is still years away, but as we are waiting on state approval for certain things, my understanding is you and the board went to Hampton Bays recently to tour a similar system or the exact same system.
Correct. I actually went 2 years ago when I first took office, and Lombardo and Associates had done a system on private property in Hampton Bays for that huge condominium complex right by the canal. So we went over to look at that and understand how it all worked. And then, you know, I didn't start the sewer system project. It was started prior to my administration, where a company was hired to evaluate different locations. And when we took office, they were still working on that.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, they weren't working to my satisfaction. So we ended our contract with them, and we hired Lombardo and Associates, who have really been in East Hampton for a long, long time. And they were the ones who even conducted the study back in 2013 that indicated we should have this system. And they also did the Hook Pond study. They also did studies in the town. They worked out in Montauk. So they're very, very familiar with our problems in our area. So we hired them to start the process, and we were actually able to get a grant from the state of New York.
Oh, cool.
For $150,000. So
Mm-hmm.
we provided Lombardo and Associates with, I think it was like $50,000
Mhm.
to start the process. And really that was looking at, it's called a peer review, and they were looking at what the other company had done to see if it made sense. And then they added a little twist to their ideas to
Mhm.
it. And we really exhausted every area in the village. We've looked at areas, any vacant piece of property that we have in the village, we've looked at. And a lot of the area, all of the areas
Yeah.
that we've looked at cannot be done.
Mm-hmm.
So P.O., who's the owner of Lombardo, and so he actually came up with under the parking lot idea.
Yeah, the underground.
Because
yeah.
he's done this in other states on the East Coast. It's never been done in New York.
Oh, wow.
So we'll be the first community, if it's approved, to do it. And I was hoping to have this approval all done. We've had meetings with DEC, who is responsible for approving this or not approving.
Yeah, you originally, sorry for interrupting, but you originally said you thought it would be approved by December of 2021.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
And now we're sitting here August 1st,
Exactly.
2022.
And we have not received that approval, and and that's why I made the comment
Mhm.
to the local reporter that I'm frustrated about this,
Mhm.
and because we were hoping to be on a different timetable, and now we're delayed again. So the village board met, and we've authorized P.O.'s company to continue until we get an answer about this parking lot. Because if we don't get the approval for this, we only have certain things we can do. We can condemn a piece of property,
Yep.
a commercial piece of property, which we don't want to do.
It's the last option.
Well, that's
Most of the
that's
time,
really
yeah.
the last option. Then the other option is to put it in at the highway department, which we own.
Yep.
But it's in the town jurisdiction, which means we'd have to go through their planning department and all kinds of a process. Which, if we can keep it within the village, it would be a lot simpler for us.
Now I have some follow-up questions. The first one being, so you mentioned that this would be the first one in New York State underground.
Correct.
What's the advantage to having it underground as opposed to the normal above-ground facility?
Well, it takes up about an acre of property.
Mm-hmm.
This whole plant.
Mm-hmm.
So by having it underground, obviously you don't have to waste your above-ground space, which in our case is the parking lot.
Yeah.
So it makes total sense to me and everybody I talk to, but it's just a matter of it's going to take a little time because it's something new for the state of New York, and they're making us go through a much more detailed process
Yes.
to understand it more. So it's going to take a little more time, but if it does get approved, then we are in good shape. If it doesn't get approved, then we have to go a different direction. So the village board the other day agreed to allocate the final $50,000 we have from the grant
Mm-hmm.
to pursue this option.
Okay.
And then at the end of that, if we don't have an approval, we have to find another location.
Okay.
Which will probably be our highway department, which will take even longer.
Yeah.
So,
Second follow-up question. For those who may be at home sitting here, I have no idea what they're talking about. What are the long-term implications, and really, what are we getting out of the new water treatment facility moving forward? If it were to totally go to plan, just exactly like you said, underground, what does the village benefit from?
but the benefits are there are many benefits.
Yeah.
But the primary benefit is a lot of these old septic systems
Yep.
are actually in groundwater.
Mm-hmm.
And whether people know it or not, the entire business district of the village is on top of the watershed for Hook Pond and Georgica Pond. So all of that water eventually, and what a watershed means is that eventually that water, underground water, will make its way to the pond.
Yep.
So this would protect the water. As we all know, our ponds, when I was a kid, our ponds weren't polluted.
Mm-hmm.
We used to crab in Georgica Pond. We used to,
Yeah.
you can't do any of that anymore.
Mhm.
So all of the ponds are in desperate need of something like this. Even the Friends of Georgica
Mhm.
agree with us on this. So having a septic system where the watershed is a huge benefit for the ponds and drinking water and everything. So that's definitely one benefit. And the other benefit is for the downtown area.
Yeah.
So you can provide more wet uses, you can have more restaurants, you can have more ice cream stores, things like that. So there are many benefits, but really the main benefit, even if we didn't increase
Yeah.
any of the wet uses, the main benefit is or are the ponds.
Yeah. Cleaner, safer
Right.
water.
Yeah, we have just think your cesspool is going right into the pond.
Yep.
That's what's happening over time. So if we can correct any of that, it's well worth it.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I just, it's very important, and I understand the need of it, but I do know that someone could look at that number, 24 million, and just go, wow, that's a lot for water treatment. But
Right.
meanwhile, to give the public a better understanding, how old is our current system?
Well, we don't have a current.
So right
septic
now,
system.
there is no...
Everybody
yeah.
has separate cesspools,
Mhm.
just like you would in your home. And over time, even the cesspools in homes now are being changed to
Yep.
what they call these IA systems,
Yep.
which there are grants for and everything like that. So the businesses all have what the average home had. They just have rings in the ground where the water dissipates into the
So-
ground.
Lack of a better term, it's outdated.
It's
Everywhere in the
Yeah,
village, yes.
everywhere on Long Island is
Yeah.
really outdated. So, we're slowly getting there. I know the town's been trying to do something
Yeah.
in Montauk for a long time. It's a large amount of money, and it's a big process to go through. We visited, when I first took office, we visited West Hampton Beach,
Mhm.
and they did a septic system.
Oh,
But what worked out better for them is they did their whole village, their whole business district, I should say. But a short way away, maybe a mile away, is the county airport,
oh yeah.
which has a septic system. So
Nebraska,
they were
yeah.
able to hook up to that. Still cost a lot of money, but it wasn't anywhere near what we're trying to.
It was
to do.
easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was already existing. They just had a hook to it.
Well, hopefully the state will get back to the village sooner than later, because it is frustrating, because this is one of those projects you really want to get going, if you
Right.
can, and if they're going to approve it, because it takes 4 to 5 years, is my understanding,
Right.
at least.
Yeah, that from start to finish, about 5 years, 4 to 5 years, and I'm 2 years in office, and we really haven't gained much ground.
Hmm.
So, and that
Albeit
frustrates
COVID,
me.
yeah, albeit COVID and
Right,
a few
but-
other, yeah.
Yeah, we can make excuses all
True.
day.
Yeah, you're
but
right.
It's still not acceptable.
Let's move on to the next topic, a little friendlier topic. Tomorrow night is the great Main Beach Tuesday Night Music down at Main Beach, and we have the local legend, Nancy Atlas.
Yes.
How many people have been coming so far per Tuesday? Are
I
there
would
any
say
numbers?
Between 1,500 and 2,000 people are attending down there. It's really a fun night.
Mhm.
It's all family based. There's kids everywhere, and it's a lot of people making a lot of fun memories.
Mhm.
Tomorrow night, exactly what you said, we have Nancy Alice, who was instrumental in helping me start this whole thing last summer. Like I think I've said on another show, I had a certain path that I wanted to take, and she said that was the wrong path, and I followed her direction, and it's been a huge success. And I have to thank Nick Krause
Mhm.
from the Talk House.
Mhm.
Because he handles all the bands. He knows we have 2 bands a night,
Mhm.
so he knows which bands go best with each other. And it's been a huge success down there. And we've also, this summer, the president of our foundation, Brad
Yep.
Dillard, who was on your show not too long ago,
Mhm.
he is now allowing, and working with the village, allowing 501(c)(3)s to come up to the beach and solicit the crowd and make some money as well, like the Kiwanis Club.
Yep.
And I think Hampton's Lifeguard Association was up there. I can't remember who was
Yeah, I
there.
was there. The night I went was the Kiwanis Club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, they'll come back again. I think they have 3 nights, the Kiwanis Club. I'm a member of Kiwanis,
Mhm.
so it's a great organization. If people don't know what it is, it helps all of the kids. It's really a child-based organization that provides things that our youth needs in the community, whether it's a scoreboard at the high school, whether it's helping with Little League fields,
Mhm.
whatever it is, the Kiwanis is there to help.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit lifeguard updates here. The Main Beach tournament, was that last week or is that this week?
Last week.
Oh yeah, how'd that go? Were you able to attend that?
I didn't attend it. I had another event the same
Mhm.
night, but they did very well. Drew is our chief lifeguard. He briefed the board the other
Yep.
day at our board meeting, and our team did really well. And actually, I can't remember her first name, but her last name is Jones, Summer Jones.
Mm.
She did really well in the women's swim, and Drew was just couldn't say enough good things about it. We also had a very huge save
Yeah, please tell. I was going to ask you about that next. Please tell us about that.
Yeah, we had a young man who was swimming in the water, and he got hit with a pretty good wave and into the ground, which happens quite a bit. If you've ever been in the ocean, you know what I'm talking about. So, but when he was walking out of the ocean, one of the lifeguards or a couple of lifeguards noticed he wasn't quite walking right. So they approached him, and they wound up getting an ambulance, and they put him in a collar.
Backboard, yeah.
Backboard collar and all that. And the surgeon actually attributed what the lifeguards did to saving his life.
Wow.
So if they hadn't done that, he probably would be paralyzed for the rest of his life. So
yeah,
or worse.
I think it's we've had previous major incidents in the water, not just this summer, but historically speaking. And I think sometimes people take the ocean a little too lightly, so to speak. It looks friendly. You get caught in a rip or you get knocked down by a wave, and you think it's just whiplash or something. It's okay to be precautious is what I'm getting at. That's my message here. It's okay to, need help.
Right.
I think some people are very nervous to be saved. It's embarrassing. I get it. I've been saved. I was through the program, and it happens to everyone. And I think that's why the lifeguards are there, to save you and to help you. And I just, I want to make it known that people shouldn't be embarrassed to ever ask for help. Like you said, Drew and his team are very qualified, and so are every other lifeguard out here, not just in the village, the town as well.
Yeah, they do a great job. I'm really proud of our entire program that Drew and the rest of his team up there have come up with, and they really do a great job. I mean, it's the beaches are everything we have.
Yes.
You talk about water quality, you talk
Yes.
about beaches. That's why people come here.
Mm-hmm.
If we lose our beaches, we lose our water. What's left? So, shopping? It's a good segue for you.
Yeah, it is. It's a perfect segue. Actually, have you talked about? I know Chris is more so in charge of the beach, Chris Minardi, but there has been some shark sightings in Long Island, and I was able to ask Peter this 2 weeks ago. But have you prepared for any shark sightings at Main Beach?
Well, I have to tell you that a couple of years ago when we first took office, we put in this terrific barrier.
Yep.
That sharks can't get in on
Oh.
5 beaches.
I didn't know that.
It's not true.
Oh, I was going to say, there's no way. There's no
Only
way.
dolphins and whales, Matt, can come in.
Only the village.
The village does
Yeah.
not allow sharks.
So the town beat. No, I'm kidding.
We can't help the town, but village beaches, you're perfectly safe.
There hasn't been. I want to make it very clear. There has not been any sightings at any East Hampton beaches recently.
Correct.
Only in Fire Island and Jones Beach area.
Yeah, and it's definitely there's a lot of life going on in the ocean right now. If you go to Main Beach or any of our beaches, probably any beach, you'll see whales, you'll see dolphins, and I'm sure their sharks are there. I mean, they don't expose themselves as much as the whales and the dolphins, but I would assume there are sharks in the ocean.
Yeah, my only advice is if you think you see something, it's okay to tell a lifeguard.
Yes,
it's okay to. It's never definitely tell someone if you think you see a shark.
Yeah, we do have. Get back to your original question.
Yeah.
I was just
I know.
kidding around with you, but we do have a plan in place.
Yeah.
If a shark is spotted, the beaches will be closed. All 5 beaches will be closed, and for about an hour or so.
Yeah.
And then people will be allowed back in the water. I think once you stop the split, that's what attracts them. What really attracts the sharks is all the bait that's in the water.
It's been hotter
and
this
that's
year.
why you see the dolphins, and that's why you see the whales so close. They're all coming in for the bait, for the fish, the little fish. And I'm sure the sharks are not far behind.
No.
So, and then the splashing starts in the water, and of course, they're curious if that's something else.
Definitely.
And, they may come close. I mean, I know West Hampton Beach has had a couple of, or Quag, I think it is. Had a great white wash up.
Which is insane.
Just a baby.
Still.
It was only 7 feet long.
Only.
So, yeah, there's definitely, you got to be cautious. You got to be careful. There's tips. You don't swim early in the morning. You don't swim late at night.
Don't swim alone.
Yeah, don't swim alone. And just be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
And you're not really supposed to go out too far. So.
Now that I've ruined your perfect segue earlier, I'll jump back into it. This is really the last topic I have, and then you could bring anything you'd like to mention. One thing, just a bigger conversation that people get a little worried about here, and really I mean the locals, because let's be honest, there's a different group of people here. There's the summertime residents and there's locals. I mean, there's no denying that. You started seeing Prada and Gucci and a few of these bigger stores wanting to come in. And really, the question I'm trying to get out there is, have we lost the local stores in the village moving forward? And I understand that buildings are owned privately and they could rent it however much they want. I get that. I just wanted to get your opinion of it, as this is one of those conversations that people always tend to have out here.
It's true. And I don't think you're going to see a resurgence of mom and pop stores. I don't see how that would ever happen.
Mm-hmm.
The rents are too high now, and we do have a lot of local stores. If you really walk around,
Yes,
I mean, you have a bookstore,
of course.
You've got Obligato,
Mm-hmm.
you've got Conn's,
Chutney,
Chutney's,
Mm-hmm.
another local store. I mean, you could go on and on.
Fiero's.
Fiero's.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a number of mom and pop stores, if you will. We also have a lot of real estate offices.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've been trying to tell people is, we're really becoming a shopping destination
Yes.
in East Hampton Village. And if you go back in time a little bit, we've always had this. I mean, when I was younger, they had Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Coach was on Main Street.
I remember.
And then it moved to Newtown Lane. I mean, you've had a lot of stores that have been here and kind of led the way.
I mean, I remember when people were, so again, sorry for interrupting, I remember when people were up in arms about Dylan's Candy Bar.
Right.
And now it's a fixture in the town.
Right.
So to speak. I mean, it's been there for years now.
Dylan's is almost a mom and pop store now.
Yeah.
That's the way it's
more or less,
become.
yeah.
So what I was saying is you kind of become a shopping destination. The goal would be to keep these stores open year-round,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't have vacant windows and it doesn't look like a ghost town.
And how can the village do that? Because that's probably the bigger issue that locals don't like, is that they drive out of state maybe for a week and they come home and it's only 6 o'clock and everything is closed.
I know, and it's a difficult it's a difficult challenge. And
Mm-hmm.
what really works well in Sag Harbor are restaurants.
Yes.
And that makes it more of a walking
But
village.
that brings us back to...
It brings us back to the sewer system, and it brings us back to, where we kind of dropped the ball way back in history, where we didn't put in a centralized sewer system. We found a document, actually, it was really funny, from 1934, I believe it was.
Wow.
Where the county health department recommended that the village put in a centralized septic system for the downtown business. And it was never done, for whatever reason, who knows. And they were saying that there were grants available and the state would fund most of it, but it was never done.
Makes you wonder.
And you just don't know, what was going on back then. That there was probably other things that were more important at the time. Who knows? But it was a missed opportunity looking back, because Sag Harbor has really done it well.
Mm-hmm.
And they installed theirs in the 70s, my understanding. I've also took a tour of theirs. And their system, actually, do you know where it is? It's right on Bay Street, across from the Legion Hall.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you wouldn't even notice
Yeah.
it.
You don't even...
But it's there, and it's
Yeah.
a big complex.
Mhm.
And like I said, we took a tour of it, and by the time the water is cleaned, it actually has a pipe that goes right out into the bay and just puts the water back in the bay. So,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, that's how
You don't even know?
well
Yeah.
it cleans it.
Yeah.
So they've been able to do a very good job down there, and that's why they're such a popular
Mhm.
location, because of all the restaurants. And they do have a lot of mom and pop stores, but if you take a ride through there, you're going to see it's starting to change.
Oh, yeah.
You're starting to see the chain stores, if you will, come in. But you have to remember, people tell me all the time we should ban them, we should pass a law. You can't. We've run all that by our attorneys. You cannot do that. It would be illegal. And if you really take a step back and you get rid of all of our chain stores now, if you could, you would lose the Polo store, you would lose Starbucks, you would lose CVS, you would lose, on and on. Almost every one of our stores now have more than one location.
Yeah.
So if you lost all them, you'd have more vacant stores. And the thing I keep telling local people is that, yes, maybe you can't shop there, and maybe I can't shop there. But it certainly offers an opportunity for jobs.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because they're large corporations. They offer 401ks. They offer retirement, which is the 401k. They offer health insurance, which you can't get from a lot of local businesses. I mean, I have a local business. I can't offer health insurance to my employees. It's just such a big amount of money. So there is a bright side or a silver lining to the cloud that you can get a job and you can get health benefits, which will help you survive.
No, yeah,
So there is a positive.
again, I just find it interesting. Everybody always has their own opinions, and I like to have these conversations because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to make the town town and village a better place for the future. That's why we're talking about the wastewater treatment facility, and then before with Peter, I was talking about the affordable housing.
Right.
Both sides, we're just trying to make things better. I think a lot of people forget about that sometimes.
Right.
That at the end of the day, we're trying to make it better for everyone and safer for everyone, really.
Now, just to go back, Newtown Lane, if you start going north on Newtown Lane, you have more of the mom and pop type stores. You have Whittendale's, which has been there over 100 years. You have the old dry cleaner, which is now being rebuilt, and it's going to be a retail store. I'm sure it's going to be a mom and pop store. It's going to an office and a affordable housing upstairs.
Yeah, they have 2 housing upstairs. Yeah.
Yep. And then across the street you have Chutney, and then there's going to be another little store there. And then around the corner you have that whole
Riverhead
Avenue, which is Villa. And then you have other stores that can be converted. And that's the only area that I see becoming more of a mom and pop store area. And if you go further down Race Lane, that's all mom and pop small stores. So if we could create more of that on Railroad Avenue, I think that would go a long way to help locals shop in that area.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm with you. Yeah.
You could have restaurants down there, but it really it's going to fall on the septic system.
Oh yeah, and that's why I wanted to cover that today. It's an important issue, and septic, no matter what, whether it's a new house, new office, or for the entire village, it's a big deal for everyone.
Yeah, and that's getting into septic. We passed legislation months ago that allowed people who own 1.5 acres or more of property, residential, that they could put a second living quarters on the property as long as they met certain qualifications. If they decide to do that, they have to redo the entire property with an IA system, which is another huge benefit because most of our 1.5 lots are near the ponds.
And there are grants you could apply for help with the IA system.
Well, most of the properties I'm talking about really don't need the grants.
Yeah.
But an 1.5 acres in the village is a big piece of property in the village, and they can probably afford to pay for their IA system. But you're right, there are grants available if they need them. So that's a big help too, because that opens up a little more housing. They can't rent it, but they can use it for staff. They can use it for family, and then they have to retrofit the whole property with an IA system, which is going to help the water quality.
Awesome. We have run out of time here, so
we always do, Matt.
If you have any more last thoughts.
No calls?
No, it doesn't seem that way. Only during the meetings do you guys actually seem to get calls, and never on my show. But maybe it's me. It's probably not you guys. It's probably me, if we're being honest.
I don't know. I have a lot of fans, Matt.
All right, for Jerry, Mayor, for me, Matt Lownes, and Jason in the control room, thank you so much for watching Ask the Mayor. Jerry, I hope you have a wonderful night.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you.